My friends, let's check out the next generation of amazing guitar players together today. I will be reviewing some amazing practice clips from the Patreon exclusive Discord server. If you want me to review your guitar playing, just click the link down below, but let's dive into it right away. Nice, so this is an actual solo from Buried Alive, who's posting some really cool guitar content. What I like with this one is the usage of the whammy bar. It's not just like a quick effect or something. You can hear that he's actually using it to reach different pitches. So not just to do a quick dive bomb or any kind of flashy effect, it's used in a pretty musical way. The fretting hand technique looks pretty nice and relaxed, but what could be improved, in my honest opinion, is the thumb placement for some of the licks. So right here, for example, the fretting hand at an angle like this, with the thumb being all the way on the top, not really supporting the fingers that much. By moving it down just a little bit and aiming for a straighter wrist angle like this, it might be a bit easier to get cleaner results. For example, right here, I can spot the thumb just peeking out a little bit there, and the disconnection from where the fingers are playing to the thumb that's supposed to support the fingers could result in some control issues. Also, for that quick shredding line, this one is really difficult because it's not just an alternate picking line where you're just playing that alternate picking lick. It's sandwiched between two very different things. So moving into and out of that line is pretty difficult. I would really try to isolate that one line and get it as clean as possible, because I feel like it has a very cool placement in the guitar solo. So it would be a great idea to loop this one. I think it sounds like a pretty cool and practical picking workout. And this ending is really cool. You can hear that quite often with the tapping, you can clearly hear every single note and there's not that much string noise. This is the best possible outcome when it comes to merging different techniques. Also, this little sweeping section right here sounded really good. So my favorite parts right here are definitely when you can clearly hear the notes without the string noise. And I think for a progress video with the guitar solo, like this is not final version, it's clearly stating that it's working on it and especially focusing on reducing the tension in the hands. Already really cool, very promising, especially for such a raw guitar audio take. So amazing job, I really can't wait to follow the progress with this solo. I hope we see the final full attempt very soon. By the way, if you feel a bit stuck on your guitar journey and you want my feedback, so you want me to watch your practice videos, once again you just have to click the link down below and choose one of the Patreon memberships that include Discord access. I'm making these videos every week where I'm going through the Ask for Feedback section here on the Discord server. So if you post your videos in here, you will get my personal feedback and your video on this YouTube channel, which is pretty cool, I'd say. Then we have one from Sohail, hope I'm saying that correctly. So this sounded really cool because it's essentially an arpeggio-inspired riff or even etude. I really like this style of playing because you can clearly hear the different sounds, like major, minor, diminished, etc. When you only work with scales, it's very hard if you're not exactly accenting chord changes to really bring out the sound of major, minor, diminished, augmented. And here with those arpeggios, you could clearly hear that, so it sounded really good. He's saying he wants to improve the muting and playing clean. Of course, it can always be cleaner. But with most of the lines, like with this one right here, you can nicely hear every single note. They're not really overlapping or sounding too dirty. So to me, this is already very cool. Especially this one, little diminished run, if I'm hearing that correctly. So technically this is already very cool musically as well, because you have those different colors of the arpeggios. The one thing that you could focus on if you want to is breaking up the arpeggios a little bit more, because right now they're kind of ascending and then descending, like the full shape being played up and then down and so on. And it can be really cool to mess with the listen a bit more, to make it a little bit less predictive, to introduce a little bit of string skipping or switching the arpeggio shapes, not always on the one of every single measure, in kind of unpredictable spots, so that it sounds a little bit less like a workout and etude and a bit more like a riff. But I personally love the sound of arpeggio etudes, so I really enjoyed this one. Thanks so much for the contribution. Nice, so this is the Speed Builder workout from Patreon. And it already sounds really good. So what I like the most so far is the fretting hand. It looks extremely relaxed and the angle looks great. If the fretting hand is angled a little bit like this, it gets hard to stretch and you might end up with some unwanted hammer-ons or pull-offs. But with this kind of relaxed fretting hand angle, it looks like the results are very clean and controlled. The picking hand also looks quite relaxed. And you can see the wrist moving, which is always very important. Sometimes the exercise is started before the beat. This one was already better timing-wise. And what I would personally focus on at these slower tempos is articulating every single note in the exact same way, because sometimes you can kind of hear, even if you're not looking, when there's a string transition, and those notes right before or after that transition are of course harder to play. But you don't want the listener to hear that, so I would try to focus on evening that out a little bit. It's very frustrating, but it's definitely worth the work. Then at a faster tempo. Fretting hand still looks great. But now... this one was pretty good. So this is the tempo where it's getting a little bit challenging. You can hear that the notes are not perfectly in sync when it comes to the picking and the fretting. But I always advise people to actually practice at those tempos where things get difficult, because that's where you're making some progress. You don't want to sound perfect in your practice routines. That means you're working on stuff that you can already do. And he's saying that the whole out of comfort zone concept is pretty new, and specifically asking about the last tempo if it's too fast. So for me, this tempo right here sounds really good because it's kind of almost there with some repetitions. The note spacing and the timing already sounds good, while with others it's falling apart a little bit. So this is a great tempo to practice at. Let's check out the last one. So this one is a little bit tricky because the picking hand can't really keep up that well anymore. Once again, the fretting hand still looks really good, but the picking hand is not playing enough notes in most of the cases. It's not playing down, up, down, up, down, up. For every single note, it kind of gets stuck in between the strings. So I would focus on learning about the string transitions a little bit more. I have some really cool videos on Patreon about that. Just use the search box and type string transitions, because I think the technique already looks good and the foundation is there. The only thing that needs to be mastered right here is transitioning between the strings at faster tempos, but it's definitely not a mistake to play at tempos like this that are way outside the comfort zone. This is also beneficial. It's just always important to also study the learnings you find right here. So for me, it's not the fretting hand, it looks really, really good. It's mostly the picking hand that can't keep up right here. This one is from Francis Metal and it looks pretty cool already and it sounds quite nice. The one thing you can spot right here is the fretting hand. The fretting hand isn't staying in place like this in a relaxed way where the fingers are just pushing down one by one. There's a lot of fretting hand movement, especially with the pinky, and the wrist is also kind of rocking back and forth. This will make it a little bit hard to build speed and also endurance if there's a lot of movement and it feels like hard work to actually play through the scales like this. I don't see much of the picking hand, but in this case I feel like the fretting hand should be the main focus. As you can see, the pinky is kind of straight like this, it's pointing away from the guitar, when with scales it should always be curled and pretty close to the strings in order to get the cleanest results. Yeah, so the 3 fingers right here, index, middle and ring finger, look pretty curled, and the pinky finger kind of has a life of its own, which is something that also happened to me when I started out with all this. The pinky is very hard to control. So aside from bringing both hands together in the form of hand synchronization a little bit more so that it becomes cleaner, my biggest focus right here would be getting that pinky finger under control, maybe with some legato workouts. I feel like that could really help. Nice. So that stretch was really impressive and the note came out pretty nicely that was stretched too. So concerning finger technique, this looks really great. You can see the thumb supporting the fingers from behind the neck nicely, which makes it possible to stretch really far. Yeah, this looks like great fretting hand technique right here. Big stretch and the note was perfectly reached. There's a comment we have right here. I find getting the ring and pinky fingers under control to be quite hard. My first 2 fingers have a much easier time staying near the fretboard. It feels like my ring and pinky are kinda just coming along for the ride. So in the video it already looks quite nice. The one thing that you could try out is, from what I can see, most of the time you're anchoring with the index finger and kind of helping out the other fingers. And when you rely on the index finger a bit too much when it comes to helping out the other fingers, so it's always kind of pressing down quite hard and anchoring, you never really feel like you're controlling your weaker fingers that much, since they don't work on their own. They always get some help, so to say. So to gain more control over the other fingers, what could really help is only working with them, like doing some trills only with your weaker fingers and lifting the index finger a little bit on purpose, not like this. This is not a habit that you want to train yourself to do all the time, but just doing some trills, hammer-ons and pull-offs, going back and forth between your weaker fingers could really help with developing them some more. But when it comes to the basics, so the technique, the fretting hand position looks really great and the stretching also seems to work out pretty well. And then another one from Francis Medal, and this one is more about the picking technique. So this is a bit about economy picking from what I can see. With some exercises that I post, I want you to check out this really cool economy picking approach. So this one is not down, up, down, up, down, up, as with alternate picking. It's more similar to sweep picking, where you're gliding across the strings for some notes in order to build speed. And the technique already looks really good. I can see that there are no individual picking strokes, so to say. So you can really see the gliding of the pick that's needed for economy picking. And a lot of those repetitions already sound quite clean. The only tricky thing with economy picking, in my opinion at least, is getting the timing right, because it doesn't have that straight down, up, down, up, down, up feel. This repetition right here sounded really great already. So you can definitely hear that you're onto something. I feel like it's just a matter of practice and also getting the fretting hand to cooperate a bit more, especially that pinky finger that's bending away sometimes. But the picking foundation, awesome job. That already looks very good. So I'm very proud of my amazing students. It's so cool to see the progress evolve in real time on this special Discord server. Remember, if you want some personal coaching and feedback on your playing or your technique, just click the link down below, join a Patreon membership that has access to the Discord server, and I can't wait to check out your playing. Until then, have an amazing day and see you soon.